Hey, welcome back to Rusty Judgment and welcome to our farmhouse that we're trying to wrap up. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna tile this hideous backsplash and we're gonna make it beautiful and we're gonna show you how to do it and show you how cheap and easy it is.
Don't try this at home.
Warning, what you are about to see is being brought to you by an unauthorized, unlicensed, unprofessional individual who holds a driver's license only. Hey, I'm gonna interrupt this video real quick to say, I love you. I hope you're having a great day. And if you are not, you're not alone. Like, you're not the only one who has bad days. Sometimes it's harder than others, but I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. If I can do things that are hard and difficult and then get on YouTube and show people how to do them, right or wrong, you can do something too. I just want you to know, you are enough. Let's get doing some tiling. I'm curious, will you let me know, do you think a tile backsplash is difficult or expensive? Curious to know what your thoughts are. It's neither. It's not expensive and it's not difficult. I'm gonna show you step by step how to do it. You can do it yourself. All of this here was a little less than $150. I'm pretty sure got too much tile, which I can return. And this is like the trick of all tricks. This is the grout that I use every time I tile, and the reason I use this grout is because you don't need to seal it. This is like a $65 bucket of grout, which now that I'm thinking about that, maybe I didn't need to get such a big bucket. I don't know that we'll use all of it here, but anyway, I'll use it in a different property, but we are gonna get to tiling. So to start off, I just got 3x6 or 2x6, 3x6 white subway tile. And these are about $15 per little block of subway tiles. This is what we did in our personal residence, our house. And I think I've got plenty of tile here. Here is the thin set. This is the bonding material that you put up on the wall that then holds the tile to the wall. In Dawn and my very first house, my wife and my very first house, we remodeled it all and I got rid of all of this behind it and I put up concrete board and then I tiled up against concrete board. You don't actually have to do that for walls, like for a backsplash. You can, but you don't have to and I'm not going to. Because from my experience, tiling straight up against a wall holds good enough. I've never had a tile come loose. And then I always silicone the bead up against there. For me, it's easier. We just put in Formica countertops with the built-in backsplash. So most likely, if you're gonna have any water spilling, it's not gonna actually run up against the tile. The tile is gonna be, what is this, like 4 inches up higher? And behind the sink is probably the only area that you'd ever really run into a problem with that. And we're actually not gonna run into a problem there either because we will have window trimmer on that. First things first, I've already got all of the junk off the wall. So I am gonna get to putting down the thin set. So you wanna take a trowel with grooves in it. This is the one I'm using because it's the one I had at home from other tile jobs. I am just gonna scoop it and I'm gonna smear it on. And we're gonna coat the whole wall with the groove side. And then we're gonna start placing tiles. And then I also got 1/16 spacers. So these are just a 1/16 of an inch. These are the little square spacers that you put between the tiles. You can pick whatever thickness you want. I did 1/16 because I want like a pretty minimal grout line, thin line between. So I'm just gonna coat, I'm not gonna coat the entire wall because I'm just gonna do as much as I can start stepping tiles up. But I'm just gonna coat a good chunk here so we can get rocking and rolling on the tile. This is not a super big space here. You know, and a lot of people have asked me over the years and recently on YouTube, Tom, how did you learn how to do all this stuff? And I got an answer for you. Trial and error. And a lot of research. I got laid off from a job when I was in my early 20s when Dawn and I first got married. And for that summer, what I did as an in-between job is I had a buddy, Kyle, who was a contractor. And he let me come work for him for I think it was most of the summer. And I did roofs, and we did renovations and remodeling. I learned a lot from Kyle that summer. I learned I didn't want to do construction full time. But no, it was really fun. So I learned a lot from Kyle. Dawn and I had a house that we gutted and remodeled it all. I learned a lot from doing that. When I was a teenager, my dad and I did a bunch of remodeling in our house. And I learned a bunch from that. So it's just been an accumulation of a lifetime's worth of remodeling and learning and doing things wrong and trying again and then researching. Now YouTube makes it so easy. You can learn how to do almost anything on YouTube now. Now you can put this on the entire wall, or you can just put it on the tiles themselves, which in hindsight, maybe I should have done that here. So the trick here is to keep your lines nice and straight and square. I would naturally start this resting on the backsplash of the countertop. Putting them on the walls, they're going to continually want to settle until they set. The guy who installed the countertops here did not fit the countertops really tightly to the walls. If the countertop installer would have done their job right, the countertops would be flush tight to the wall, and then you could just set your tiles off the back of the counter. Coming together, it's starting to look like something a lot nicer than what it was. I mean, it was just like some kind of just like a board glued onto the wall. So here is just kind of a little bit of the cutting I did around the outlet so that I can put a new outlet in and screw it back down. I think that the thing that people get so afraid of with tiling is probably the cutting. And you can see I didn't have to cut a lot. There's 3 pieces there, and then this one here I had to cut. But now I'm gonna have to start cutting some into the corner, and then I'll have to cut around that outlet and then work my way over here and then around those outlets that I gotta pull out yet. But I'll show you what I'm doing. I have used, like I've got one of these, this guy. It's for break-in tiles. You score it with this end here. You kind of like rub a little cut line on it, and then you grab it and you break it at it. I don't really like doing that. I know that they make a lot of like really cheap things that you can break tiles with and kind of like, but you can never cut into an inside corner with one of those things. So I either rent a big tile saw, like if I was tiling a floor, I've rented like a great big tile saw from our local Menards. It's usually like 40 bucks for the day. But otherwise I have just a really small little tile saw. And the only thing you gotta watch out for with the tiles and tile saws is you just make sure you got a good blade on it and just go slow. Like you'll want to do the cutting outside because you'll have water in the tile saw. Cut slow and be kind of gentle with it, that's all. Other than that, like there's not really a lot to it. Dry your tile off before you bring it back in so that you can put thin set on and it'll do its thing. Tiling, in my opinion, is super fun. Like look how instant gratification this is. This probably took maybe an hour to do that wall. Now I will just kind of... So every time I set a tile, I kind of wiggle it a little bit as I pushed to try and get it stuck really good to the wall. And then I put my spacers in. Like so. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the one that wraps the corner right here. All right, just like that guy. And then we'll do the next one above it until we work our way all the way around here. Okay, I have all the tiling done over here, that side, and this side. The center here is all gonna get trimmed out, so that's, none of that will be tile. So now we go over here, and I measured out where microwave's gonna go. I drew a straight line down the end here so that it lines up with the microwave. and the stove. And then I measured up where the back of the countertop will be for this piece. And then so that I can start tiling over here, I just kind of tacked this. It was just a cut off piece of trim at the right height here, and then I leveled it and tacked a nail there. It's just to hold it so that when I start tiling, the tiles don't start to sag before they harden. So that should be good there. And then we will just kind of run them long and let them hang off behind the fridge over here. So we'll start on this side and then we'll work our way that way. Now that looking at the little area I've left, all the tiling I've done, I literally just took one tile out of the new box. So all of the side over here was all $15 in tile. I could have done it out of one box, but I actually dropped 2 tiles outside while I was cutting them. So I'm guessing I'm gonna be able to return an entire box of tile, that whole bucket of thin set, so that will reduce this by $40. And I probably did not, well, not probably, I'm 100% didn't need to buy this big one. I could have bought the small one. So all in all, if I would have bought just like the only amount of materials I needed, you could do this for like $85 for Backsplash here and around the other side. So now I have all the tiling done over here. I actually have the microwave. I actually have all the appliances in the kitchen right now, which is super exciting. But so I have the microwave bracket up and then I tiled the last little section. I have the appliances now. Now this is all correct. So I finished the tiling. Now we are gonna get on to putting in the grout. A lot of people asked what kind of grout we were using. This is the grout we are using. This is the grout that you don't need to seal. And then that's the color. Never needs sealing. That's why we buy this stuff. Never needs sealing. All right, I'm gonna get to smushing the grout in and showing you how fun and easy this process is and wrap up this kitchen. Have I mentioned at all yet that I really enjoy tiling? Like, tiling's super fun to me. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just gonna smush it in here. You don't wanna do too big of a section at a time because it'll start to dry. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna smush all this all over the place and really embed it in all the joints. And then you're gonna take a sponge, a wet sponge, and just wash the faces of it. But you don't wanna wash it too much because you don't wanna like get too much water or wetness inside of all your joints. And that's kinda like how you wash the tiles and stuff is what's gonna dictate your grout lines. So you wanna do like I kinda use like a really damp sponge and I keep re-rinsing it and getting as much water out as I can, so that I get a really consistent grout lines and it all just really nice and clean. Smushing this in here and hopefully we don't, oh, I already dropped it on the floor. All right. Ooh, that's a terrible sound. And you don't need to worry about if you get this on other things because it will wash off. Just don't let it dry. Like, don't leave it on for days if you get it on areas you don't want it on. Oh, that's such a terrible sound. This is like instant gratification. All right, I'm gonna get a sponge and I'm gonna start cleaning that off so it doesn't get too hard to clean later. I just kind of really wanna go really light. Just get the bulk off the face. All the tiles without really getting too much moisture into the grout. we're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna let it start to dry up, and then once it starts to dry up, we'll come back and refine what I'm doing there. But for now, we'll keep smushing it in down here. All right, now I'm just trying to get the grout lines all even and thinner. I don't like really thick grout lines. I like really tiny, skinny ones. All right, I think that should be good for now. I'll end up having to come back later once this is actually dried, and then you like buff the face of the tiles. But I think this is pretty good for now. So we are gonna move on to the next part of the kitchen on the other side. That is essentially how you grout a backsplash. Now what I'll need to do is, since this is fresh, there's kind of like a haze coating over the whole thing, like a residue that will dry, and then all the grout is still fairly wet. So there's like a little bit of imperfections in the grout lines right now, but what I'll do, like I'll have to give it about a day to really dry up, and then I'll come back and I'll just really scrub it good with a good dry rag, and that will buff the faces of the tiles. It will clean up the edges and just really give it like fine, nice, neat little lines. Cause I don't know if you can see, there's like a lot of like little spillovers. I don't like that. I like it to be like really nice, neat little lines. That's all the further we're gonna get for now, because I gotta give it a day to dry. And I don't have any more time with this video to let it dry and then scrub it up. I will show it again later in a future video, but it looks really good. And we got some appliances in the farmhouse. We've got a microwave to go here. We may have the island top to go on the island. And it's coming together. It's also cold in Minnesota. Like, not like cold like I wore pants and a sweatshirt today. That's how cold it is. Not a big fan of that. I know it's gonna get worse, and that makes me really sad. But I would love it if you subscribe. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.